Hello, my name is Mary Caldwells. I'm the Senior Director of Solution Marketing at CA Technologies, and today I'd like to invite you to walk through how we can help you plan strategic initiatives with CA Clarity Playbook. Today, technology is rapidly changing and presenting future opportunities. This may create some challenges to how we do planning because there's been such an increased pace that things like mobility and social networking, big data, even cloud networking have presented new opportunities for us to interact with our clients and really change that client experience, that customer experience. We can see them as strategic opportunities, and as we look at that demand for new innovation and what this may mean to our business, we have to compare it to what our capacity is to innovate. And with the reduction in our resources perhaps, or maybe even the timelines and finances that we have available to us, it's very important that as we look at that gap between our capacity to deliver and the demand, and really set those strategic priorities. And that comes down in the form of our strategic plan, which is often done in an annual planning cycle for many organizations. And oftentimes it requires the executive team coming together, working with their staff to be able to pull necessary information together. And they often work in a very static document environment, such as an Excel spreadsheet or a Word document or a PowerPoint presentation, to maintain their strategic plans. They're very difficult to keep current, and oftentimes they're out of date shortly after the annual planning cycle is complete, and they need to be adapted anyway. They also aren't very transparent, which makes it difficult for organizations who are downstream looking to execute on those strategic initiatives because they don't have clear guidance or understanding of the priorities or how their work aligns to those strategic initiatives. That annual planning cycle is often broken, and we're looking to change that environment to something that's more interactive, that is inviting for an executive audience to be able to participate, that provides them with the kind of information that they need from downstream in order to align their strategic initiatives with their capacity to deliver in a very realistic way, and also give them the ability to interact with that strategic plan on a very perpetual basis so that as new opportunities come in, whenever they come in, they can quickly collaborate and debate and approve a new strategic plan and share that downstream so that the execution teams are always aligned to the delivery of your strategic initiatives and current plans. Oftentimes, when we look at how we've been doing strategic planning in the past, our work style has been very paper-based, and we often have to fly people into a single location in the office. It will require a huge staff who's gathering information on current project status, investments, return on investments, and works in progress, as well as assessments and business cases for new opportunities and justifications for shifts in strategy. That huge effort means that oftentimes our staff only comes together once a year to be able to do that strategic plan. And that's the way of yesterday. Let's talk about how we can do it today, because today's environment is much more self-service. It's accessible on a mobile environment like an iPad from anywhere at any time, where your executive teams can get together with your strategic initiative advisors and strategic planners and enterprise portfolio managers, for instance, to be able to decide and define that strategic plan in a more perpetual basis and be able to monitor the progress and success on a regular basis. That way your executive plans are set for that long-term horizon, but are always grounded in today's availability, today's capabilities, and helps you align and make sure that your teams are executing today and every day in line with your plans. When you base that strategic investment on your work management and operational execution that is often living in your organization in places like your project and portfolio management systems or your IT service management systems, that gives your executives a more empowered mind for what their capacity to deliver is, and make sure that they're information is really filtered for their view. So if you're a CEO or a general manager of a department, you're able to see what your teams are working on and what their capacity is. And that way, as you make decisions about what your 2 and 3 and 5 year plans are, you are really clear on what your resources are and whether that plan is really feasible. And that information is now filtered for you so that it's relevant to your strategic investments. So whether your planning horizons are 2 or 3 or 5 years out, some organizations may even have much longer planning horizons if, for instance, you're in pharmaceutical where clinical trials may take 10 years. You have big ideas that don't have a lot of granular details, but you know in general you want to move in a specific direction, gain a new market, expand into a new segment, move into a new geography. All those kinds of things would be considered part of your strategy and your strategic playbook. As you define what those initiatives are and begin to set the investment guidelines for your teams, now they can begin to define what that portfolio is and execute on that work in more quarterly and monthly sprints. That is what keeps you nimble, because as this time clock ticks, you're constantly adapting that strategy, keeping those initiatives current, and making sure your portfolio is in balance. You can do that from anywhere with an at-a-glance view. You can constantly be assessing the technology impact, and you can be monitoring the performance, making sure that the investments are being spent according to your controls. And you can gather your executives together at any time to be able to make adjustments and make decisions in real time and share that transparently with the right teams to get the work done. This connection of your above-the-line teams, your business executives, to the below-the-line teams that are getting work done is what has been missing. It doesn't seem like we've had a real clear handshake between what the strategy is that's being defined by the executive teams, that vision, the objectives and goals, and how they map to the initiatives and investments in the shorter and long term. Hasn't been in an environment that could be interactive and transparent, that doesn't easily translate from the initiatives into the investments in your portfolio, that then push out to all of your resources to be able to get the work done. And so by changing the way we plan, by creating a new environment where that has been purposely designed for how the executive teams want to work, and that invites them into this world of strategic planning that is more in line with a realistic execution point of view, is going to change the game and really drive better success all across your organization, from the top down and from the bottoms up. How can you do this? That's where CA Clarity Playbook can really help you establish that perpetual plan, because you can create your strategic plays, and you can define them by your entire organization. You can divide them into plans for each of your business units or divisions. You can have various plans that are works in progress. You can archive them, you can publish them, you can keep them secure as you're working on them in a very elite group. And you can look across to all of your investments and make sure that by initiative they're really balanced between where you want to invest in terms of what proportion would be on spent on growth and how much would be spent on keeping the lights on. But really what's interesting about this environment is that you have almost a Facebook-like environment to be able to collaborate with your peers and to be able to define and discuss which objectives and initiatives and your rationale and concerns, and make that part of your system of record. You can balance that investment and see where your mix is, and really play around with some modeling to make sure that you've optimized your investments. And you can monitor the success and measure in real time how your initiatives are performing as they begin to execute. The strategies can be aligned in a hierarchy, like your vision, your goals, your objectives that become your initiatives and investments. You can have multiple initiatives that can achieve several objectives, and you can link those together so that you have a clear map of interdependencies. Then can help you visualize what the impact of all your investments are and create that balanced business plan and achieve that right mix of growth and keeping the line. You can see key performance indicators and monitor your strategic spend. You can make sure that any key initiatives are not at risk, that they have been appropriately planned out over the course of the time that you want to execute that initiative. And that way you aren't surprised at the last minute when a key initiative has gone awry. You can see at a glance when something is performing very well and can free up resources for something additional. But you can also see when something is at risk, and you can quickly take action so that you don't continue to dump money and time and resources on something that may not be meeting your expectations or your customers' expectations. That's what we're talking about, making it very actionable and feasible and based in reality. And you can have that collaborative environment, which is how your teams want to work anyway. They want to have that connection to the overall plan and make sure that their voice is heard. And once they've made that decision, they want to speak as one voice throughout, top to the bottom. When you've connected that strategic investment plan together with your work and operational systems, you're better able to plan your investments, align your resources, facilitate your work, and make sure that your spend and tracking performance is right in line. That handshake between your delivery teams and your strategy is really the key differentiator for your organization. It's going to help you gain that competitive edge and help you align your organization so that they're acting as one. We've seen some real benefits from companies that have shifted from an annual planning cycle to more of a perpetual planning cycle. McKinsey recently did a study where they found those companies that planned at least 70% of the time would achieve up to 30% in annual growth rates versus those that only did planning once a year at 9%. I think that has a lot to do with being more agile and nimble in being able to adapt as new opportunities come in, as well as keep strategic initiatives from going off track and costing the company, your organization, too much money. We've also seen some studies from Gartner where employees across the world want to be able to have a more social networking business environment for their communications, and that collaboration helps facilitate a global organization to act as one. Additionally, when you think about how much manual effort goes into creating the data behind the performance indicators that are often required for planning and budgeting, you can save as much as 240 man weeks alone in just planning and budgeting. That's real ROI. And then when you think about the executive time itself, how much time they spend in travel, how expensive it is to bring them together for meetings, it could be up to $850,000 a year just in cutting back on executive and travel and planning. That's real ROI that makes an environment clarity playbook really a no-brainer. So I invite you to take a tour of Clarity Playbook and try it out. Connect it to your enterprise, especially your PPM, your project and portfolio management system. Start planning today for the next generation of your organization, and consider ways to be more transparent in sharing your strategic plans across your organization so that you can act as one. Thank you for your time.